And I think we're live.
Hello.
Welcome. Oh man. You know, Ryan's gonna turn that into a soundbite now, and that's gonna be like the beginning of every show now. Welcome to the coin segment.
Yep, need a soundboard. Here we go.
Yep, we're back after a week off, guys. We missed a week last week.
We did.
Yeah, where were we?
We had
quite busy.
Quite an interesting week. We were at the What's Hashquest conference remote. It was gonna be fun to be in person, but we ended up doing the whole thing remote, and that's pretty much what we were doing all last week. It was fun. It was a great conference, lots of good talks, lots of exciting labs and stuff, including blockchain hacking lab we put on, which honestly did really well. Like I was impressed at the turnout.
I was very impressed at our turnout there in Discord to do those labs. Very good. So make sure you check us out. We do have Way West Hackin' Fest coming up.
It's farther away.
Yeah, it's further away. It's in the further future.
Yes.
When is that one? It's April, I think, right? 2022.
Yeah, something like that. April.
I don't know. I got all the emails.
Ryan says
Thanks,
May.
Ryan.
Yeah.
Yep.
Ryan's got us here.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll be probably running the same one there. I would imagine. Mm-hmm. And also, we're going to probably end up turning those labs into a 4-hour workshop soon. So keep your eyes out for that. That'll be fun. Probably, I'm thinking like November, December timeframe. We'll run that. But yeah, I mean, we're here. We've got Steve, Ralph, and Ryan with myself today, and we've got all kinds of good stuff to talk about. I think the theme of this week is really lots of scamminess going on.
Don't get scammed. Yeah.
Don't get
scammed. You can't scam me, bro. No way.
You say that. You say that.
Yeah, you say that.
There's some interesting ones out there. Some interesting ones to talk about this week. So we've got some scams to talk about. We've got of course DeFi hacks. It's like of course that's gonna happen.
Literally one of the feeds in my tweet deck is just DeFi hack, right?
And it just like feeds like constant articles throughout the day, right?
Eventually there's just going to be like DeFi hacks where the DeFi hack, the next, like that hack was the leading to the next DeFi hack, like just inception hacks now. It's going to be ridiculous. I could just see it now.
Inception hacks.
And then to top it off, we've got a hamster that does crypto trading. So that'll be fun to talk about later on.
I'm totally going to follow.
Yeah, I totally forgot. I included a section here for crypto puzzles as well, which it's a fun.
There are so many of those now.
Oh, there's so many, but it's so much fun, and I'm addicted. But we'll get to that in a second. All right. So first article for today, guys. Bitcoin.org compromise. That's crazy.
It's kind of interesting. Yeah.
So Bitcoin.org greeted visitors with a pop-up window that said the Bitcoin Foundation is giving back to the community as a gesture to support our users who have helped us along the years. And so, like, I mean, that sounds like your typical, like send Bitcoin here, we're going to send you 2 back kind of thing, right?
Yeah. Hey, Ryan, if you can find that in that article, there's a good screenshot of the pop-up.
Ryan, see if you can find that part.
It's in the tweet.
In that article there.
But no pressure.
So
no pressure.
I think there's still some questions around how exactly this happened, right? So in the original post that we see here, the message included the site actually appeared to redirect to a malicious hacker site, right? Like so the scam site. And that could be a number of things, right? And Ralph, like we've got I guess assumptions, right? Where DNS obviously is like one of the first things we think about. Server compromise, another thing. From the article, it sounds like Bitcoin.org was hosted at Namecheap, right? However, they also leveraged Cloudflare, and between those two issues, there may be some other things.
Yeah, so they definitely had some in like JavaScript that they were able to inject. So when the users browse to the site, they get that pop-up, right? That's definitely JavaScript of some kind or some kind of iframe, right? So they had access to some of the infrastructure, whether it's a DNS takeover or whatever.
Yeah, scroll back down real quick, Ryan. Let me see that pop up again real quick. So, so it's interesting though. I wonder if so. I think the current owner who manages it didn't he say that he didn't receive any traffic to Bitcoin.org though?
Yeah, there's so much weird about this because Namecheap's like, oh well, we noticed it and we shut down the web server. But I'm like, but if it was a DNS takeover and he's not seeing any traffic, that wouldn't have changed anything. The website would still be up. So maybe Cloudflare realized it. I mean, because there's two really things here, right? Where the site lives, which is typically not on Cloudflare, and the DNS or Cloudflare being the proxy, right? The CDN, so caching it and then redirecting it. And so what did they do? Did they take over the Namecheap web server, or did they take over the DNS CDN?
What day was this? Because the Wayback Machine indexes this site quite frequently, and I'm wondering if I can go back and see the.
This looks like it was around September 23rd, right? But so one thing I was going to say here is like maybe another idea, and this is something that I've seen happen in the past, and especially if this is JavaScript, is if they had some sort of S3 issue. Maybe they were leveraging like an S3 bucket for content. So like one of the things that happened a few years ago was MSN.com was running crypto miners in your browser. And the way that happened was the advertising network, AOL's ad network, that was being hosted on MSN.com was actually being pulled from an S3 bucket that had writable permissions. So
yeah, malvertising.
Right. So an attacker was able to just go and actually like inject their own JavaScript into MSN.com via that malicious ad. And I wonder if maybe like that could be, another potential avenue here. Obviously like we don't have all the details, but definitely interesting to see.
I could tell you one thing: the coins I sent, I'm never going to get back, and I'm upset. So,
well, no. So speaking of coins you sent, right? So the part of this kind of section on scams here, the SpaceX and Apple event crypto scam. So this one I saw. So SpaceX is, they did a launch mission not too long ago. It was like I guess like a little more than a week or two ago, and the thing that's crazy is they were flying back in, right? Their space shuttle was coming back in, and my wife had on, the YouTube live feed, like, just watching this YouTube live feed. I walk into the room, and on the screen is, Elon talking about how Bitcoin's the future and stuff, like in this legit interview. But in the actual screen, it had this link to this Space Event X IO site or whatever, and it said, it had this fake tweet from Elon in there. That said like, I'm, giving back to crypto community, and this is on a live stream that had 21,000 people watching it.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
I guess this is the new this is a new attack, right? And so from what I read, because I was like at my computer when you sent me that, you were like, check this out, and I was watching the stream too. But when I did a YouTube search, right, for just SpaceX, I actually found there was multiple ones of these. And what they do is they kind of like they run up the stats, right? So I don't know how they get fake viewers, but they get enough so that it ends up at the top, right? It's like a top stream, so that when you make that search and they wait for an event like SpaceX or I don't know, any other kind of big event that might be on YouTube already.
The Apple.
Yeah, the Apple. Yeah, anything like that, right? And then they get enough so that when you search for that on YouTube, it becomes like one of the top hits. And then they'll have what's going on at the event, and then they're just adding in, OBS style. Hey, whatever the scam is. Hey, send us these coins. We're, we want to get back to customers. Blah blah blah. Whatever it may be. So
yeah, and I think it's hard to truly understand how much of an impact from a scam like currency wise has been stolen due to these, but just in my like initial analysis of some of the wallet address that I was given to send ETH or Bitcoin to, like they made a couple $100,000 easy, just in the few that wallet addresses that I saw. Obviously with 6 different accounts. That's the other thing too. Ralph, having many accounts, they're not all necessarily owned by the same threat actor, right? Like they could be
Yeah.
just all piggybacking off each other. Like they see this being successful and leveraging the same attack.
Yeah, I think the crazy part about this is the content delivery networks just kind of being like, well, the most popular wins, and there's money in gaming that system to get you up there. And I mean, like YouTube is pretty much funding, scams, like massive scams like this. And I love crypto, but crypto enables them to get the money and keep it, right?
It makes me wonder how they get so many initial viewers though. Like, is it like a phone farm, like you see like in some of the
it's got to be it's got to be some system,
right?
Yeah. Or here's a good way. Here's a great way, right? You can rent like a DDoS network, right? And all that is just a bunch of compromised machines. You could do the same thing, just putting on YouTube videos, though, right? And those add to the count, and next thing you know, you've got 30,000 people watching this video, and only 4 of them are real, and they're all getting scammed. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Just be careful out there, everyone, because they're getting definitely more interesting. Like it used to be just like they'd tweet from like a fake account, right? And it was just like, hey, send me 1 ETH and I'll send you 2 back, kind of thing. And that got a lot of people back in the day. But like seeing like on a major website where there's it appears that 21,000 people are included in this with you, it lends more to the credibility of that, right?
Right.
Which makes it more difficult to spot. But all right, let's move on. So all right, we've got a couple issues. Actually, so this first one, this isn't a hack necessarily. This is more of like an issue that happened in an upgrade. So Compound actually had a bug where when they upgraded their contract, it allowed for like an excess of reward distribution. Which is kind of crazy, right? So like they apparently based off of this Twitter thread from Mudit Gupta, where he basically points out that they had one character that was wrong in one of the lines of their code where it says that the bug happens when someone supplies tokens for a market with 0 comp rewards like Sushi and TUSD before the market is initialized or migrated. And then he says that the check there should have been a greater than or equal to rather than a greater than sign. So it's like just the math conversion there had an issue.
Common, right, to see those math issues like that. People overlook just little bits of the code, and I don't know to say whether this was audited.
Yeah, I think they had both. I believe this was one. I could be confusing this one with the next one though. I believe they had a couple audits. So
every time I and I know this is kind of the central theme of these smart contracts, right? It's just like the code that's running the contract, and every time I see some small stupid error that even if they understand it as sometimes the vulnerability is like something they don't understand. They don't know it's an error, right? While other times they know it's an error, but they just missed it, right? And in both cases, I'm like, how could we possibly fix that? And I was thinking about it, and maybe there's some kind of, and they could have already be doing this right now, but some kind of like dev-prod type thing, right? Where, I mean, that's one way we do, deployments of code. Usually we're looking for something like, glaring where it doesn't work. But in this case, setting up maybe some kind of dev test network for these things to play around with to see, outside of just doing an audit. So I don't know.
Right. So there are a lot of projects that do that exact thing.
Yeah.
There are a lot of projects that they set up like test networks on the actual like mainnet too, where it's like their test code. They're running it to try to determine if there's going to be any issues. And the thing with that is though, like there's not incentive to go hack it. So it's like sure, you might have somebody that finds an issue, but do they actually report it to you until it's live and they actually go and hack it, right? I mean,
it's kind of weird though. It's like one of those things. I feel like if there is a hack, it should like automatically devalue that coin and then move to a new like fork. I don't know, dude. I'm probably getting wild here, but like fork to something else, and then everyone's like, oh yeah, I automatically get that, but and that's actually what happens most of the time. They kind of like fork it out, but there's like a lot of loss that gets incurred with people trying to sell or move and stuff like that they can't fix. So I don't know. Obviously, if there was an easy fix, we'd already done it, but trying to think out loud.
The fact that smart contracts are immutable makes it a not easy fix in most cases, right? They have to redeploy contracts. So
yeah, well, they put the time lock in there to make you feel safe. So
yeah, but if so like if there's an issue where you can get around the time lock though, like that, doesn't even matter, right?
Yeah, crazy world out there. We're gonna need more handlebars. Let's just put it that way.
Well, I think they're working on it. I mean, like, so a lot of the main library, main libraries out there, like OpenZeppelin, they continue to upgrade their own contracts or build new contracts that have more security elements.
Yeah, but I mean, we know this in security. Like, there is no such thing, and this may be more of a philosophical question too. But is there such thing as like perfect? Right? Can you make something that's like perfect code?
No.
And I mean, I personally don't think that's possible. So, with that being said, I think we need some way to kind of not have the like major effects when one small issue arises. You know what I'm saying? So,
well, insurance. We'll say the magical word again, right?
Oh no! If we just had insurance, I mean, that's like the cyber insurance,
it's
thing.
Like the web application firewall for cryptocurrency, right?
I mean, we just need the equivalent of like in like the physical world, right? When a bank has a lot of cash, right? You would have a vault and big security and people there, and the cops show up right away. I think that's the other piece of this that's kind of interesting. When the money gets stolen, nobody's ever really getting in trouble. Like, you're not seeing these people get arrested. And, but if you go into a bank and you steal money, I mean, like that, you're going to get arrested most likely, and maybe not today, but in the near future. So, yeah. And it's funny because
I was going to say idea.
What's up?
So I don't know, like, I mean, this is totally just like a random idea that might, be nothing, but like, so, the problem is that like a lot of times that the main issue is that we have one single point of failure, which is a contract, right? Like one contract or a collection of contracts that work together, but usually those other contracts that are working with it are just like helper contracts, right? So what if for every single user, or even just, if you had like 100 different contracts that are all the same contract, and then you spread out across all of them, then if you saw like one exploit against one of them, you could potentially like migrate some of the other stuff before it hit the other ones, and it would make it more like it would cost more, right? Because for an attacker to exploit, like they would have to actually pay to exploit multiple contracts too. But imagine like, what if you had like 10,000 users and you deployed, a contract for each one of those users to be like basically their account, right?
Yeah.
And go ahead.
I was going to say another one that I see a lot is the flash loan. Like, why not just not accept a flash loan? Okay. Like just put in a check that says, if this within the last block, it's not good in this contract. Does that make sense? Like, that seems so stupid simple.
Well, I mean, flash loans are intended to, that's their purpose, right? So, I mean, they're there, whether or not the bug is in the
but
contract.
That's not your customer. That's not your customer, though. Your customer is not the people who are making flash loans, most likely, right? Like, a lot of these DeFi products are just to help, convert one coin to another without having a central party. So, I mean, do you need someone doing a flash loan, which means they're borrowing, for that one transaction? Like, why is that? You could make a check for that. Like, do you need that? And if it's part of your business model, then I guess it's just part of your, your risk. But, that might be one. And I could be totally misunderstanding how you would implement like a check for that. But the way it's been described to me and the way I've seen it is that it's a one-time thing, right? So you have to pay it back within that block. And so you can just wait for the second. Like, the same reason like Bitcoin, it's not validated until you've got, 60 minutes, 6 blocks pretty much. So like, I don't know, just thinking about it.
All right. Well, since we're on the topic of hacks, let's let's go to the next hack. So pNetwork, $12 million hack. All right. So an unknown hacker has exploited a bug in pNetwork's code base to steal 277 bitcoins, or $12 million, about $12 million.
Another bridge hack.
Yeah.
Binance
too.
Smart chain. Yeah.
So you think about the more complicated these contracts and these protocols and bridges are, right? That's more attack surface for an attacker to look at. So it doesn't surprise me that it's another bridge hack.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I went to their website.
And are we seeing more on smart chain these days than we are on Ethereum, or would we say it's
I think
equal?
if you tracked the number of DeFi hacks over the last year, I would say the majority are on Binance Smart Chain. Yeah.
Now, I wonder if that's just because of the maturity. It's cheap, so there's a lot of people spinning up projects and things like that.
It's like the dev ground. It's just super cheap to do transactions there. Whereas in Ethereum, it's it's going to be a lot more. You're going to need to be a more established project and all the other fun stuff. I mean, I went to the website for this pNetwork and it looked like just a WordPress clone for 35 cents kind of thing. Like, there's like 4,000 of these out here, right? Like on the Binance Smart Chain, and they pop up like weeds and they get hacked about just as fast. So.
And so pNetwork actually sent messages to the Black Hat hacker saying, although this is a long shot, we're offering a clean $1.5 million bounty if funds are returned. Finding vulnerabilities is part of the game, unfortunately, but we all want DeFi ecosystem to continue growing. Returning funds is a step in that direction. I mean, I don't know.
So do we know how they were contacting the?
I would imagine through transactions, right?
Yeah, communicated on chain. There we go. Okay, so that's what I wanted to see, is if we can see the actual. Let me look.
You need to write Ethereum for Binance Smart Chain.
Smart Chain, yeah, absolutely. But there's no Infura for Smart Chain, so you have to tie it right into the.
Yeah, that's a good point.
RPC.
I don't know. I do think about this when I think about that analogy of like robbing a bank. I'm like, the bank doesn't send like, please give us the money back letters. No, call the FBI. They freaking, and honestly, if you read about like a bunch of like actual real bank robbers, it's super easy to rob a bank. In fact, you don't even need a gun or anything like that. But to not get caught, that is really the issue, right? Like, and eventually these people who rob a bank a bunch of times, it becomes a pattern, and they do get arrested and stuff. So I don't know. I guess I'm just kind of looking at the side of like there's zero. Right now there's zero repercussions.
Well, I mean, a lot of that is the fact that these are international, right? Cross-border hacks that are happening. And the federal police, I guess, like, unless this is huge and there's a lot of backing behind it, I mean, they're just not going to go through the trouble to go to some remote country and grab somebody for this, right? With what's considered not real money. But I mean, this case, we talked about it before, like the how to track an attacker, and we talked about this in our Wild West Hackfest lab.
It's true.
If they go to a centralized exchange to either fund or take out funds, then you have KYC and most know your customer. And in this case, it was a Binance. So can federal authorities of whatever country go to Binance and say, hey, we want the IP address and KYC information of this user? I don't know. I've never seen any repercussions come from people actually going to Binance, other than Binance like locking accounts.
Yeah,
I don't know if they cooperate with authorities or not. So,
yeah, and I mean, like, here's the big like security question, right? Like, aside from the punishment, I mean, is this a security? Is this a fair game? Is this just like, hey, you need to up your security? If your security was better, you'd have no problems, right? There'd be no issues. Or is this more of just like a zero repercussions? I mean, obviously it was a vulnerability, right? And we could argue that. But, I guess just like finding easy, shooting fish in a barrel, finding easy targets and just kind of taking them down and making that money. It's like the bug bounty program without any rules.
Yeah, we were talking about leveraging Infura. I just saw this Anchor, ANKR for Binance Smart Chain. Looks like you can get a free API key there that does 170,000 requests per day. But it looks like you're rate limited to, it looks like 2 per second, which is pretty slow.
Especially for Smart Chain. That's pretty slow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
All right, moving on. So next one. Ooh, this is a big one. VeeFinance, $34 million hack. So this is an Avalanche or AVAX project. And this is, I think, the second big one that we've seen.
Yep.
Like we saw one, this month. And it says the main issue of this was that in the process of creating an order for leverage trading, only the price of the Pangolin pool was used by the Oracle as a source of a price feed. So this was actually like an Oracle modification issue. So they were able to actually manipulate an Oracle to change the prices based off of trading. Which I don't think we've talked too much about Oracle.
No,
hacks.
this is kind of a new one for us to talk about. I think the point here is a central point of failure, right? An Oracle is supposed to get pricing from multiple points and kind of do some math to average the difference and stuff like that and keep the price from fluctuating too much. But in this case, it was just a single point of failure. So it fluctuated more than 3%, which isn't good if you're trading.
Yeah, so I mean, the idea with an Oracle is like you have an off-chain price feed, right? So something that is not on-chain, and like that whole concept is there, so that you can actually provide like you said, like pricing data, right?
Right.
And if you can manipulate the Oracle, then the smart contract has no idea, like it trusts whatever Oracle is programmed into the contract, right? So if you can manipulate those prices outside, then potentially you can manipulate things at the contract level, right?
Right.
So, yeah, another
AVAX. Yep. So I mean that still brings up the fact that there's all these side chains spinning up so fast that we don't like. It's hard to tell if security is really being implemented in real time or if they're making changes after an audit, right?
I mean, they're making these projects so fast, dude. I mean, they probably don't even have a budget for this. There's like, well, I mean, see, I mean, I don't know who they're hiring because there's not that many people who can do this anyways. And with all these projects popping up, I'm sure they're booked out for a pretty long time. So just wing it, just roll.
All right, next story. SafePal Wallet. This was another scam for this week, right? more scams. So this one was actually really fascinating to me because of how long this one was out there. So basically the gist here is that there was a malicious Firefox add-in called SafePal Wallet. This scammed users. Great. Yeah, it sounds safe, right?
Yeah.
And you installed this wallet in your browser. And as soon as you started, sending any sort of assets to it, it would just send them off, And
I bet you there's so many more of these.
Oh yeah, no doubt. But the thing is, like this apparently was on the Firefox store since February of this year, so that's a long time.
Yeah, and we just talked about tracking and catching the hackers, and in this article, it talks about the person saying that they already talked to the police and they can do nothing for me. There's no way they can trace the hacker.
Untraceable.
So so the user then says, all you have to do, help me figure out who the hacker was and how I can get my funds back. Pleading to the community. So, so I mean, how do you verify what's in the store is actually legit? I mean, if it's in the store, it's supposed to have been security scanned or something, right? If it's in the Firefox store.
Yeah, but I mean, it could look legit, right? I mean, it's not like malware necessarily, right? It looks like it does. I mean, it is a wallet, right?
Yeah, it's just not to you.
They just have an extra line of code in there that just sends it to their own wallet.
Yeah, it'd be tough to detect something like this. I mean, it's easy to detect it once, somebody gets screwed and it gets reported, but, that was their intention, I'm sure. They were like, hey, this will work on some people and we'll get
as long as one or two people do it, right? It might be a net positive. So
totally worth it.
YOLO.
So, this honestly, the story brings up another kind of big issue in my mind about just like the onboarding of new users in cryptocurrency and blockchain is stuff like this makes it really hard for people to trust, right? Like, especially non-technical people that are just like, oh yeah, I'm going to install a crypto wallet in my browser, and they just go, search the store for that. And they find something like this. It says SafePal, right? Like, sure, I'll install that. But I mean, I wonder if there's a way we can better, onboard new people, like, even MetaMask, right? Like installing MetaMask, it's a browser plugin, and
I mean, yeah, if somebody put in a rogue line of code during development or something like that, how many users would be affected? And there's no like validation that, I don't know. It's, supply chain, you can't really stop that. So with these wallets, you just have to put some trust in there and use an offline wallet, I think, for the most part. Keep your keys to yourself. Don't enter your seed into any of these if it's asking, enter your wallet seed or your private key or anything like that into the web. Don't do it. Right. So just basic hygiene type stuff, security hygiene to be.
I'm pretty sure MetaMask sent like a tweet about that. They were like, "If we will never ask you to enter your recovery seed, right? Like, just what? And if we'll never ask you to send us coins and like just basic stuff, right? But you're right. It's not basic for everybody. So what's that saying go? Common sense isn't that common.
And the stuff changes so quickly too, right? So, if let's say you made a video and it became the most popular video of like how to install, a crypto wallet, like in 2 or 3 years, that could be completely different, right? Like that wallet might be completely gone. I don't know. It's just, I think that there needs to be a better, process, I guess.
Yeah. Well, the big end of this is that, the malicious wallets and other add-ons, they're going to continue. So get ready.
Yep. Careful what you install.
Yep, exactly.
And maybe send a test transaction first, right? Maybe.
Yeah, a little one. Just like a little one. I do that a lot. When I'm spending big ones, I'm like, hold on, let me just send like $4 worth.
Yeah, right.
It's good.
It's amazing, it's all math and it's supposed to be solid and everything like that. But when you go to hit the send button on a crypto transaction, it's always that question, like, is this just going to go into like nothingness or,
Every moment, it's just like, is it going to work? Is it going to work this time? All right, it worked. Whew. All right, we can move to the next one.
Dude, try minting an NFT. It's like when you have like a 10,000 people all trying to do it at the same time, and you're trying to, send it at the same time. You're like, did I just waste gas to try to do this and not actually mint the NFT?
Yeah.
Like that's happened a lot to people, like where they've tried to, join in and ended up paying a lot in gas.
Sure.
All right, so this next one is the largest bug bounty ever paid. So $1 million. It
was actually 1,050,000.
That's true.
Yeah, that kind of makes it all worth it, right? The opportunities are out there, and this was on Binance Smart Chain too. So we've talked a lot about doing bug bounties and stuff on Ethereum, but not really on Smart Chain. So the opportunities exist for you if you're interested in doing these kind of smart contract checks and audits and stuff like that.
Oh yeah,
it is funny. I have some of this coin, Belt Finance. Don't ask. I don't know how I got it.
Full disclosure,
I don't even know how much it's worth.
So what was the issue here, right? What did he actually find? So according to the Immunify blog post that they posted about this issue. VeeFinance had a strategy token that represents shares in the strategy, which is an interest-bearing asset, and also a strategy contract, which manages withdrawals and deposits in the protocol. Each strategy token represents a pro rata share of the assets deposited to the strategy contract. If a hacker sends tokens directly to the strategy contract, the balance snapshot variable can be manipulated. So it was like a bookkeeping issue, so to speak.
It's $1 million issue. That's what it is.
Well, it was actually what he saved $10 million, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah, this $10 million issue with a 10% finder's fee.
Yeah, Ryan, if you scroll down on that to go down to some of the top right there, zoom in a little bit, you can see the things we're talking about. I mean, the size of these bug bounties up to 2.5 million. I mean, how many like InfoSec bug bounties? I think MSRC's top one is what, like 100,000 or something like that. We'll go this high to fix these issues. It's because maybe literally tens of millions or billions of dollars are at stake, hundreds of millions, right? In these platforms. So huge opportunities here.
And not to say it's easy, but all the other bug bounty, not all the other bug bounty ones that are in the millions are like iOS 0-click and like where there's like 15 exploits chained together, you know, all 0 days that you have to do for that million, where you can just find like one flaw here, you know. And don't let me trivialize this. I'm not saying it's necessarily easy. But I bet you it is probably easier right now than iOS is today.
So one big thing that's a difference here though is that, you know, those vulnerabilities for like Microsoft and Apple, that code's not public, you know.
Yeah. This smart contract you're gambling.
You're looking at for these bug bounties is 100% public. You know, you can go and look at the entire code base. Yes. So it makes it even more like I think you have more potential of finding an issue rather than just shooting in the dark, right?
Right.
Yes. Especially in the early days.
Yeah. So is it beneficial for a company then to hire or a cryptocurrency company or project to hire an independent auditor first to do a private audit, right? So you deploy it on a private test net. You would never deploy pre-production stuff on a real test net or a live, you know, blockchain of any kind. So have them do it in a private test net, and then once it's deployed, then offer a bug bounty as well, right? Just in case anything was missed.
Yeah,
I think that sounds like the way to go about it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and honestly, somebody takes you up.
And change management, right? Anytime there's a major change in the code, or even
you know what I would say. Think of it this way, right? Think of it this way. Like, all right, so if we try to make a direct comparison to actual like corporate environments, you know, like sure, if you had one pen testing firm come in, they have one methodology, they have one skill set, right? Like they might find a lot of cool shit, and it's gonna, you know, help you find vulnerabilities. But what if you hired, you know, 5 or 6 different pen testing companies to come and just hack your internal network, right? You're going to find all kinds of stuff, right? Presumably, and different things likely. So like, I guess like what I'm saying is like, imagine you had one chance to, you know, deploy an actual network, right? Like with actual users, and then somebody's going to get phished. Are you going to, you know, legit like have your entire org taken over by ransomware? Or are you going to find all those issues before you actually let, you know, somebody click that link?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think multiple audits is key, right? Like multiple different firms like have a bunch of like people looking at the same stuff, right?
Sure. And more than just looking at the smart contracts, because I think the security landscape and the attack surface go to your employees and your developers and their laptop, whatever they're using for laptops, whether it's like company joined or personal or whatever, you know, the risks are there. If they've got access to push code somewhere, then somebody who has access to them has access to the same access, right? So you have to secure the company and the people and stuff like that, as well as the smart contracts.
And whatever other infrastructure is tied to the smart contracts, right? So that any sort of DApp, like front-end web apps that, you know, you're using, all that stuff needs to be audited too, you know?
Yep.
All right. Next up is what do we have? We have an update about some Electroneum stuff.
Oh boy, Electroneum. Back in the news again. It can only be good, right? It can only be good.
It's got to be good, right?
Only.
So we've got two things here. So that Twitter feed is actually a link about the Electroneum chain is moving to a public, basically a public version. So previously, Electroneum was kind of like a privacy coin where you couldn't see the balance of somebody's wallet. You couldn't see transaction data, stuff like that. So kind of like Monero, but with Electroneum. So now they've decided to just change that and make it open, public. How do you just change your coin? I don't know. I mean, that's one hell of a fork, right? And
so does that?
I think that would piss off anybody that was like, I'm using Electroneum because I want the privacy features, right?
So I wonder, does that affect any previous transactions, or is that just going forward, right? Because that'd be really a bad issue.
Yeah,
if like
right.
all these people that thought their transactions were private, it's now exposed, right? That could be a really serious like deterrent.
Point.
Classic Facebook move here.
Yeah, and then the other issue was this email we got, right? Which we had talked about this on the show a few weeks ago, where they tweeted like these kind of these very elusive stating Twitter things that made it sound like there was an issue, right? Like made it sound like there was some sort of, I don't know, hack or something. And then we got these emails that basically said we can confirm from a recent communications regarding anomalous network activity on the 10th of September that they've been contacted by an alleged unauthorized actor who claimed responsibility for this criminal intrusion. So they did have some sort of hack, right?
Right, and there's some things to key off of here. They called it an intrusion, right? Usually you don't call like a blockchain hack or a smart contract hack an intrusion. So this sounds like a fish to me, because then they go down, I'm speculating here, obviously, but then they go down and they talk about, don't open or be vigilant with for phishing emails. It's always best to verify the legitimacy of any email you receive. Don't attempt to log in unless you're on myelectroneum.com, the official ETN or the official ETN app. So that leads me to believe maybe this was either the website itself was compromised and maybe they were able to inject code to scam people or access some sort of database, because Lord knows what Electroneum has on their server with all the changes that they make, right? So I think they owe it to the community to kind of give us more information, because right now it's very vague. They say like, I think last week or the week before we talked about like 10 people or so were affected, but to what extent and what is the security risk here? Is it phishing? Because as a user, do I have to worry about my stuff on myelectroneum.com being compromised? Is that what was compromised? Because we don't know at this point, right? So I just think a little bit more info would be better.
This is classic breach wording. Only 3 people were affected. All right. Come to find out, it was 1,000. All right, listen, everyone was affected. Everyone was screwed. I'm sorry. It took us a while to come to this conclusion.
So ironically, they're making your transactions more transparent, but not the hack information.
Wow. Transparency for everyone except for me. Do as I say, not as I do.
All right, next article. Coinbase stuff. I just saw this one today, and honestly, I am very interested to get your guys' thoughts on this. So typically when we talk about like SMS MFA hacks, right? We typically like jump to SIM swap attack, right?
SIM swappies.
So Coinbase apparently had they disclosed that a threat actor stole cryptocurrency from 6,000 customers after using a vulnerability to bypass the company's SMS multi-factor authentication security feature. And This to me does not sound like a SIM swap issue. It sounds like something else. And I wanted to see what you guys think about this.
Well, the article states to conduct the attack, Coinbase says
Yeah.
that the attackers need to know the customer's email address, password, and phone number associated and have access to the victim's email account. I throw the BS flag on that. This amount of people affected, this was a database or some kind of back-end access to something of bigger consequence, right? This isn't just, hey, we infected one user or we password sprayed, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, hold on. So, and not to say that I kind of disagree with you, but you know, I do see this as like a new threat, right? Or a new avenue. So there's actually two attacks that are kind of going on, and they really base on the same thing. So here's how the attack works, right? So you just start password spraying the hell out of like Gmail or some other large email provider, right? And you get some passwords, maybe credential stuffing. I mean, there's a bunch of ways. Tons and tons of people have bad passwords. And then once you get access to the account, all you do is look for things. The two things that I come to mind right now is one, have you ever Coinbase? Is there any Coinbase transactions or emails? Just doing like a simple search for like a regex for Coinbase. Another one is gift cards. Have I ever got any gift cards and they steal the gift card numbers? It's just free money sitting in your email box, right? It takes 2 minutes to make a search. And then so with the Coinbase one, I think they would take that next step. They got the password, they got the email. Let's see what else, and I think that's when it leads into this second piece, right? Whereas, they had all these email addresses, they were Coinbase customers, and they assumed they had two-factor and then, or, this multi-factor bypass. So, I mean, it's definitely possible. It's not that hard to get thousands of email address access, and, spammers do it all the time.
Okay, yeah, but so, all right, so let's say that I do get access to email and password of somebody that has a Coinbase account.
Mm-hmm.
How do you actually get into an account that's protected with MFA without actually swapping the SIM? Like, so with SMS, well, like you don't have their phone number, mm-hmm. right? Like you don't have their phone. How are they?
You could probably get their phone number. You don't have access to their phone, right? So let's just assume. Yeah, you're not getting the message. Well, didn't they say that this was a bug though in the SMS though? So, but the prerequisites is that they had to have email access, right? And already, guess the password. Yeah, and we also assume that they reused the password to the Coinbase.
Well, it states a little bit further down that they use vulnerability in their SMS account recovery process, allowing the hacker to gain the SMS two-factor. So it sounds like maybe they took a breach list from maybe the public. We've seen those. We use those in pen testing and red teams and stuff like that. Prior companies have got a breach. This stuff's been leaked to the public. So you can get a list of email addresses pretty easily. Maybe you don't know if they're for Coinbase, but if you just basically spray, would this be a spray with a bunch of email addresses in summer 2021 and you get access to a bunch of accounts and you using the API for the password reset or something like that, the account recovery, so you don't get SMS?
It says it's account recovery process. So, all right, so maybe the account recovery process has got like the key factor questions like, hey, where were you born? Like, stupid stuff like that. What's your wife's name or something, Well,
that would be fine for one account, but a whole bunch?
That's a lot, dude. That's a lot. But they're saying there's a bug in the recovery protocols. Maybe there's something else that allows them to reset it and then switch over, right? So saying, hey, I don't have my phone anymore. I can't recover. How do I do that, right? And that process. It's still, though, there's a lot of stuff they had to have in place to kind of move this through. And 6,000 of them, yes, it does seem a little high. I don't know. But there's a lot of money probably involved.
Yeah, so we don't know, how long did this attack take place? If it was 6,000 users and they had months to do it.
So it actually says in the article, if you, in the middle of it, there's a section where it says Coinbase shared the following statement about it, and it says that it was actually a phishing attack. So April to early May, they observed a large-scale phishing attack that showed particular success in bypassing the spam filters of certain old email services. And then it says, so it turned over their Coinbase credentials. So Coinbase customers may have fallen victim to the phishing campaign and turned over their Coinbase credentials and phone numbers verified in their accounts to the attackers. So they phished getting their creds and phone numbers, right?
Okay.
Once the attackers had compromised email inbox in their Coinbase credentials in a small number of cases, they were able to use that information to impersonate the user, receive an SMS two-factor authentication code, and gain access to the Coinbase customer account.
How would you get the SMS?
That's my question.
That's the flaw.
Do you
That's the flaw.
Do you have to change the phone number to your own? Maybe then you get the two-factor and you just log in.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. It sounds like that's the flaw, the recovery for like the SMS. So, I mean, if they did phish these people, then they know they have Coinbase, they have their account info, they're like one step away. Maybe they found the recovery flaw and then built the phish in the back, like, worked backwards. Like, how would I get, to that spot?
Yeah.
One other thing, like if we think about how like Evil Gen X2 works, right? We could, you could potentially like man in the middle of that entire authentication process during the phish, right? And have them log in, get their session to Coinbase, and then go change the phone number, like you said, right? In Coinbase.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a man in the middle proxy, that definitely could work. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot you could probably do there. I mean, it's a large scale attack, but I mean, think about it this way though. It was profitable, so they're probably working this for like, it sounds like a couple months, man.
Mm-hmm.
And this lends to what we talk about with security, right? It's more than just smart contracts and blockchains. It's, in this case, an external web app test or external penetration test may have found something like this, right? So putting your due diligence in to test your infrastructure as well as, just the forward-looking parts of your blockchain and wallets and stuff like that is imperative. If you're a company that's operating something where people have to log in and can send and do transactions and stuff like that, that external infrastructure is important.
Oh yeah, absolutely. All right, moving on. So that's pretty much it for. Next up, we have some crypto puzzles and stuff, which I think is fascinating. I'm actually. Hey Ryan, I'm gonna go ahead and try to share my screen real quick because I want to show you this one that I've been poking around with. That is, it's been it's been something that's been very. So honestly, like I think the history of like crypto and puzzles is something that's kind of it's got a pretty large history, right? It's been something that has been around for a while. Like we did the Monte Crypto Challenge years ago, right? We spent how many hours, trying to do the
weeks,
weeks and weeks trying to solve that one. But it tends to be like this kind of hand in hand where a lot of crypto projects are leveraging puzzles. And actually, it started with I think with Coin Artists, the painting that had an encoded mess in, and I think you get a Bitcoin wallet. But yeah, no. So this first one I want to show is this one from the electronic musician BT. It's called Metaversal, and so this is actually a fascinating thing that I think you guys are gonna dig. So this is the first album that's actually been like placed on the blockchain itself, or at least utilizing this kind of interactive interface. So it uses this thing called Arweave. Have you guys heard of Arweave before?
Sort of like IPFS. Right?
Yeah,
it's kind of like a immutable file store or something.
It is. So Ralph, whenever you're not successful mining with Chia anymore, you can leverage your hard drives.
Don't get Ralph hooked.
You just your hard drives to host Arweave files.
Oh, all right, something new. All right, I'll do anything once.
So if it's not profitable anymore, check out Arweave. But anyways, so this is this interactive application on hosted on Arweave, right? So it's legit. Like you can click in it. It's all JavaScript based. But over here on the left, you actually have like the playlist of all his songs. And so that in itself is really cool, right? Like it's this album release thing on the blockchain, which I think is fascinating. But what's even more fascinating is he's included a number of puzzles that he's been doing the last few days. So there's actually like 3 days worth of puzzles where they're very much CTF like. And the first one was 2 days ago. There was one yesterday, and then the last one's gonna be today. But basically, like the idea is that there's 11 songs, and each of them have a mode, day, night, or lunar. And so you have to go through this process of figuring out what the actual correct order is, and then you submit it. And there are 11 one-of-one NFTs that you can win.
Cool. Yeah, and a lot of these crypto puzzles are involved with NFTs these days because, like you say, you can put music on there, you can put graphics, so they'll hide stuff in images, things like that. Makes it really fun. These get very deep and very can be very challenging. There's some easier ones if you want to get started, or you can go back and read the write-ups for previous challenges.
Yep. Like this.
Because I think
one has
like we tend to lean towards, oh man, maybe we can hack this challenge some way and reverse engineer it some way, right? Which is kind of what we did with Monte Crypto. We got to a point in the game where we're like, man, we just need to hack the game. So which you
ended up having to, right?
Yeah, right. So
that's
I think we kind of went into some of these that way, but you actually need to follow along and solve the puzzles, I think, as intended. By looking at some of these.
So yesterday, I actually saw the challenge yesterday in time, and I like got one of the one-on-one NFTs for this one for Metaversal, but the itself was this picture. Like this is all they gave you. And basically, like, you go off of this picture and you figure out that, oh, there's actually like 3 hidden things in this picture, where like you take out the alpha stream from the PNG, like you actually see some numbers, and if you check the EXIF data, there's some numbers, and if you check the very end of the file, there's like extra data to a YouTube channel. And all of that led to a phone number, and you like call the phone number, and then the phone number gives you like an email address, and you email the address, and it leads you down this rabbit hole, right? But yeah, a lot of it tends to be pretty like CTF like. This is another one that Steve and I have been looking at, Hashquest. That this one's all done in the art itself. So like if you look at like the gallery here, so they have 5 different artists and 5 different collections of art, and 1,000 NFTs in each one of the collections. And these they have like, you know, secrets programmed into them, and it's another challenge, right? Like if you solve this one, you get part of the proceeds to the NFTs.
Yeah, that's a cool way to do it, I think. So like the more involvement there is, the more reward you could possibly get. So it kind of drives, I think, maybe people to play it as the bigger it gets, right?
There's this one I've started looking at that is super mysterious. It's 4E4F5553.com.
I'm like literally hacking it right now. Like
so you go in here and it's
got to find the password.
Right? It's the game if you want to know the password. But then
you just ruined it for me. Jesus Christ.
But so like this one, like there's not a whole lot of public information about this one, right? So there's this, you know, you see Cicada here, and it makes me wonder, like, have you guys ever heard of like Cicada 3301? Like it's this thing where it's like this, you know, massive like worldwide like crazy conspiracy theory mystery that's been going on for years. But that one was very much like a CTF kind of same kind of puzzle solving thing. And if you solved it, it led to like geolocations around the world, and you like go there and there's like a, you know, like a note on the wall that has like it's like crazy, you know, puzzle stuff. And then there's another
how'd you find this one?
This was on OpenC.
Okay.
I'll pull up the OpenC link.
It's
actually saw, like,
it looks like it's all sold out.
Yep. Yeah, but you can buy the keys. So on OpenC itself. You can you can buy some of the keys. So for that one, the keys aren't that expensive right now. Like, let's see, like the floor is 0.004 ETH for a silver key. And
Gotcha.
I don't want to spoil it for anyone else listening, but Ralph and Steve, you guys can hit me up and I'll tell you what to do with these keys after you get one. Because it does lead down another path. But yeah, like, so that's one where like ownership of the NFT itself, you know, allows you to continue on with the game.
Okay.
So this other one I want to show is ageofrust.com. This looks like it's gonna be a legit like 3D game, like, you know, nice graphics, treasure hunt.
It's a rug.
You think?
I'm just kidding.
It's a rug.
It's a rug.
Just totally shut him down. He's like, oh, this looks really cool. It's a rug. Oh, damn.
They put all this time and effort into it.
I mean, dude, there's totally a chance. So you know, speaking of rugs, this next on our show is called Cab.
Oh, okay, perfect.
So, all right. So the way I found this one, and you guys will appreciate this. So the way I found this one is the guys who made this. So this is going to be a puzzle as well as like a main like NFT thing. The guys who made this are actually the team that won Money Crypto.
Okay.
Oh, really?
Okay. Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
Cool.
SafePage. This group here, SafePage.
So our arch nemesis.
Arch nemesis.
Dude, they're good, man. They're really good.
Yeah.
But yeah, so anyways, I just want to show some of those because I think that, you know, it's really interesting to have you know, this concept of doing like puzzles related to blockchain projects, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely fun. Definitely can learn a lot doing them. And I'm sure we'll see a ton more of these come up too as time goes on.
You kind of get forced to learn how the crypto works as opposed to just being like, I'm going to make a coin, you know? You just kind of go down these rabbit holes, you know, sometimes just unintended, right? I mean, it's intended for the game, but it's, you know, you wouldn't normally go down these. So kind of cool. It's similar to CTFs, right? But it was crypto, so definitely new.
Ooh, a crypto CTF sounds like a fun challenge for a conference.
Yeah, that would be pretty fun. Maybe we could win some coin.
Of no value.
No, yes. It's a CTF token, kids.
Yeah,
CTF
right.
token.
So, Ryan, do you want to throw up last article real quick to show that one off? Because I think it's kind of hilarious. The hamster crypto trading.
Oh, yeah.
variant.
Oh, yeah.
So
That's
I
where I
thought
get all my
today,
crypto
and
advice.
I thought it was hilarious.
This makes me happy because I tried to write that bot that basically tried to predict the prediction market on Binance Smart Chain on PancakeSwap, and you can't predict the market. You might as well have a hamster do it for you, right?
Speaking of the devil.
Yeah, so apparently there's this hamster called Mr. Gox, and he's got little boxes for buy and sell. And as he goes into the boxes, he'll buy and sell from the market at 20 euros per buy and sell. And he's actually doing, I think it's at 19.4% up, which is actually better than most of the stock market.
Bitcoin, Doge, Ethereum, and Polkadot. Looks like it trades on. So I wonder if it uses any other. So how does it know which one to trade? And where's the code that runs this? I would love to see that.
That's a good question. Yeah, we need that code.
Yeah, I'm gonna get a rat. It's gonna be great. Just a mice or a rat, whatever. It doesn't matter. An animal that can fit in a cage and
hamster,
I can
dude.
hamster. There you go. Mice, rat, hamster, some one of those, you know, animals. It's my poor dog just in this huge cage. I'm like, look, he loves it. If it's like, you're mean. Doing so great, I can't let him out.
So if the hamster's doing that well, can you write a bot that just follows the hamster and does the same trades? Have you seen the stock market traders, I think, on Reddit that have been just following celebrities and or congressmen and women and doing the same trades that they're doing?
Oh, yeah, because they're inside trading. Yeah, that sounds smart.
Funny.
Just follow the mouse, follow the white rabbit.
Cool. Well, that's it. That's all the stories we had for this week. We'll catch you again next week. Thanks for listening to the CoinTech podcast. Ralph, Steve, Ryan, thanks so much for hanging out. And go subscribe YouTube. You know, just follow us on Twitter, and we'll catch you next week.
Cool. Thanks, everyone.
Later, guys.